Hey guys, I am Nishant and welcome to Cybernetico. In this video, let me try to build my own stack and let's see what happens. So our stack will contain these things, okay, not this. So it will contain Next.js, React, Tailwind CSS, TypeScript and Firebase. So let me install Firebase first or Firebase also. We will use npm I Firebase. So I already have a project here which is called Legrand clone, and I cannot create one more project, I mean other projects, because my quota is over. Yes. Now let it install, and meanwhile we can clear our code here. So we don't need this div, so remove it. Yes. So we only have this main page here, I mean main tag with flex and all the Tailwind CSS items. Okay, the net is not working, I mean internet, so it will take some time. Let me connect with this. Yes, now it will work. Okay, let me delete this and add the command again, which is npm I Firebase. No, spelling is wrong again. Sorry. npm I Firebase. Let it install. It will take a few seconds only. Meanwhile, we can create a config file in the config folder that I created. So name it as index.js. Correct. So let me close. I will delete this. In here, we will use the Firestore collection. So we have to import Firebase, not Firebase. Let's say auth. AUTH or what is it? Let me add the Firebase. So what is this? I think it's get auth. Or what we can do is, let me just go to GitHub. Where is the Chrome browser? Let me go to GitHub. Get the data from this repo, from the Firebase config file. So it's here already. So we can just copy entire thing and paste it for the setup. So we have the git storage for storage, just for setup, but we don't need it. So we can remove it or leave it. We have initialize app to initialize the Firebase app, get auth for authentication, Firestore for database, get storage for the storage if you want to store photos or files. Now in this Firebase config object, we have to paste a few things. So let me go over to the settings of the project, of this project, copy the API key and all, and paste it. Then we have to export this constant to use it in other files. Or we don't need to export it because we're exporting it here also, like auth, app, Firestore and storage from here. Now let me just have a get API, a sample API. So in this API, we have a file called hello.ts in TypeScript, which is simple API. So if we call it here, let me create a function in here, const fetch data, or say fetch data, yes, for now, which will be an arrow function. We have to make the function as asynchronous. So after that, we have to call this API using await. So await fetch the API endpoint, which is /API/hello. So it will call this function called handler. Now we have to call this fetch API when we mount our application. So import use effect from React and simply call it in the use effect hook. So it's just a introduction video for this stack. We will add a lot of things. For example, maybe we will add socket.io and all, and we will publish this stack to npm for you to use it, or maybe we will not. Let's see what happens in the future. So we have this fetch data function inside this. Now save this and let me get the data in a variable called let response response. So let me console this response and let's see the response in here. It is here. Okay, we are not getting the proper response because we have to make few changes here. And the first change is to convert this response into JSON. So we can select JSON equals to await response.json. Then we can simply console this JSON variable. Now we are getting the name, which is John Doe, getting passed from here. So just like this API hello, we can create one more API called sample, or let me do it on the hello only. Let's not just create one more API. So we have to get the data from Firestore. I mean, if you open this database, we will have this collection called users. Let me get the data from these users. So what we have to do is just import a few things here, which is on snapshot from Firebase slash date Firestore. Yes, and we also need a few things like this. So we have imported on snapshot. Let me import what is it? Collection keyword to create a collection or to manage a collection. So let me create the reference for the collection of users. Let say users collection equals to, what can we say, this collection keyword, and we have to pass the Firebase config. I mean this get Firestore. Wait, not this. We have to pass the Firestore. So we have to import it. Import Firestore from source. Okay, make at the rate or slash source. Okay, what's happening? Maybe let me check here. Okay, not here. We have to import this. So maybe, okay, let me open this. You're having this? No, not here. So maybe we have to change something in this. What is it? TS config file also. So let me make a change here. So I had a repo. Let me open it in this only. So open the repo. Let me close the new tab here, which is CY stack. I was trying before and now I'm making a video. So in the tsconfig file, I had the path and the base URL. Let me just grab them from here. Now we can use the absolute path. If you type at the rate or src slash config slash just config and make it as this. So now it's imported. We have to pass the Firestore and the collection name called users. Now we're done. Now we can close this GitHub repo here. Okay, now it's done. Open the VS Code. Now we have to use the on snapshot in this function. So to use it, we will just use on snapshot. We will have to pass the sample reference, or maybe this users collection. Yes, and then it will throw us a response like this. Now what we will do is we will create a variable called users, which will be an array. So we are using TypeScript, so we have to use the types like this. Fine. Now we have to create the type of user. So interface users equals to this. In here we will mark all the data. Okay, we don't need equal to. We only need this. We have to mark all the data that we have in this document, which is email, image link, name, user ID, and the ID also, because we will get it later. So ID will be string. I mean everything will be string. ID, name, which will be string. We have email, which will be string. We will have image link as string. Then what else did we have? User ID, also a string. So now the type is here, which is this users type. Now what we have to do is we have to map to the response. So response dot for each, I mean for each response, or for every document, we have to get the document. Const data for one user. Then we will have doc.data. We will store the data of the one person or single person in this data, and we will loop through the response so that we get every user. Then from this data we will return we will return some JSON and push it inside the users. So users dot push. Then we will have the ID, which will be document.id from this document. Then we will have name as data.name. Then we will have email as data.email. Then let me see, image link, which will be data.image link. Then the user ID, data.user ID. Fine. Now we will see we have no errors. If you remove any property from here, you will have an error that says that the type of ID string, this type, is not assignable to type of this data. User.push. This is missing. Property user ID is missing. So let me bring it back. Fine. Now what we will do is we will return the status like this. So let me just copy this and paste it out where it was. Okay. Let me make it outside the response.forEach. And instead of the name, we will pass users. Let me add it here. Okay, the problem is it is not assignable. So what can we do is this. Okay, here we have the data, but the thing is the response is user, which is an array. So we have to make user and an array. Okay, what is this? And okay, the thing is this should be users. Yes, now it will work. If you check here, give it a refresh, and you will get all the data from the collection. Now let me create one collection here called sample, just to show you for a sample data. Auto ID, let me make let's say field or sample field. Let's say this is the sample data. Save this. Now it's here, the sample collection. If you change this users to sample, let's see what happens. It's rebuilding. Give it a refresh. You will get the ID only because we have no data here. Or maybe we have to make the sample field here instead of name. Sample field. Here also. We have to remove all the email, user ID and that other thing and add it here. Also remove these things that it doesn't give us any error. Give it a refresh. We have an array and we have the ID and the sample data here from this collection called sample. Let me change the name of this handler to, what can we say, sample get API. Save this. So we don't need this data, so remove it. And let me make this as sample collection and change it here as well. Now it will work fine. Refresh and the data is here. So in this we created a sample collection from Firestore which sends us the data in form of an array which is only a dummy data, nothing much. Okay, now this was it for this video and I don't know what we will be building in the next one.